All right, so this should be recording. Let's hope. All right, so with Google Dorks, we're going to start out talking about Google Dorks, and then we're going to talk about a couple of other online tools, and then we're going to go into a tool called Shodan. Anybody heard of Shodan? Yeah, there's probably a link to it in Cali, and it's a web application, so there's like no tool that's installed, but I think there's a link in some that'll allow you to go to it. Well, let's start with Google Dorks. Okay, so how do you guys know how to like search just a site? Okay, you're probably just used to typing in rainbows or unicorns or whatever, right, into Google and having it bring something up. All right, well, we're going to be a little more creative than that. Let's say you want to see, okay, here's one. You're going to look at me. You're going to look me up. Okay, so you put quotes around whatever you're looking for. If it's 2 words, if you don't put quotes around it, it looks for each word independently. Okay, it's not looking for them together. If you put double quotes around it, it's going to look for the 2 words together, just like that. So if we hit this, there'll be all kinds of stuff. Look, there's a bunch of people with my name, right? And of course, my website comes up. And you're going to see all kinds of stuff, right? But you want to be more specific, okay? So let's say we just want to see things that I've done on speedsport.com, all right? So you will type in site, and then speedsport.com, okay? Now what this is going to do is it's only going to search speedsport.com for my name. Okay, so this comes up with something totally different search. All right, if you scroll down, there's 4 articles there that have something related to me on it, okay, which is going to be one of my photographs, and we'll just check that. We go to the first article here. Yeah, cookies, whatever. And you scroll down, and there's one of my images you can see here. Okay, so it's there. Okay, and we just searched for me on just that site. So what do we do? Can we make this even more specific? What if we want to see let's see. What else can we search for? Y'all got any thoughts? A year? You could probably do that because Google has a tool. They don't give you a way to specify that year, but you could put a year in and hope that it's mentioned in the article. Okay, so it's not like a thing saying just look for 1995, right? You can't just do that. But if you did this, okay, if we put in all right, so we can put 2024 in there, and that brings up something, and you can see it's in the copyright right there. As long as there's text, right? If they put text in there that has a date, you could probably search it. What else could you do? I mean, don't just think about things like just classifying it by date and time, which is also handy. But Google has tools in here, like you can hit the tools right here and just say in the past month, in the past year. So you can narrow your searches down right there. So what could we do? Is there any other searches that we could do? I mean, what about a vulnerability for an application or something? That would be pretty cool, right? So let's see. One that just came out. We're going to type in VMware NSX, I think it is. Let's hit enter. Okay, there should be some stuff here. There's a product and some videos and all other stuff. But what if we just want to check CISA.gov? Okay, so let's just do site. We just want to see, let's narrow it down. We just want to see vulnerabilities. Okay, and then we're going to do site:.gov. Okay, y'all know the TLDs. We talked about that before. You've got .com, .net, .edu for education, .gov for the government, .mil for the military, you know, and every country's got their own, and, you know, it kind of goes on and on and on. All right, so if we hit this, and we're just going to search for VMware NSX and vulnerability on any government site in the US. Ooh, look at that. Get all kinds of stuff. We'll take that first one. Huh? So you hit here, we're going to click the first one. And if it'll come up since the government shut down, right? Okay, so this right here is from the National Institute of Standards and Technology. And it's telling us that we have a CVE, which is, that's a vulnerability. We classify them as CVEs. And 2025 is the year, and then this is CVE 41251, okay? So we've now used this to narrow something down and get very specific detail. Now, I mean, this is great for cybersecurity geeks, but can you imagine how this is going to help you guys through school and college and even in work, you know, when you get out of school? You can use these Google Dorks for that, so very, very handy. Now, why would you use the vulnerability stuff? Okay, because when I just type in VMware NSX, it's just going to show us everything. So you're going to get like VMware's marketing site for it, their download site for it, their documentation for it. Everybody that's, you know, said, hey, here's how to do a cool thing in VMware NSX. You're going to get all that, and it's just overwhelming. We, you know, from a cybersecurity perspective, we just want to look at this one very small, tiny thing. And we just want to see it from a government site. So something with authority, right? So we've narrowed it down very, very quickly. And we'll get into more, when we start doing vulnerability scanning, we're going to talk about this a whole lot more, vulnerabilities, like why they're important to you guys from a, you know, cybersecurity defender, you know, perspective. But right now, I just wanted to show you some of these tools that you guys have access to right now without having to have a VM running. You know, these are just straight up, you can get to them right from your laptop or your cell phone. All right, so that's one way to get some pretty informative stuff really quick. You narrowed it down because that thing, you know, when we just do that first search, VMware NSX, and if we take out the site.gov, okay, we've got, you know, news articles on it. You know, so you're not getting anything authoritative. And on this first page, I'm seeing absolutely nothing from NIST, which is the authority on what we should be looking for, right? So, and there's, they used to tell you how many hits you had, how many search hits. And a lot of times it'd be like in the millions or billions, you know, depending on the topic. When you do the site and we really narrow that down to just the .gov sites, and we could go even further than that, like, okay, we did site:.gov, right? So we're looking at everything inside the GOV top level domain. All right, so we're seeing all kinds of stuff here, right? There's still more than 10 pages, so you got hundreds. But what if we, instead of doing .gov, we did NIST.gov? That would narrow it down even more, right? So now we're just going to see the things from NIST, and now we're down to 8 pages of stuff. Now, what about if we just wanted to see the stuff from nvd.nist.gov? Okay, if we put NVD up there, which is a National Vulnerability Database, right? Makes sense? Well, maybe. I've been doing this stuff for, you know, 40 years, so yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me. But now if we hit it and just say, okay, what about just from nvd.nist? Now we got 3 pages. So we've narrowed it down from millions of sites down to 3 pages of just highly specific stuff that we searched for. So again, take note of this because that's something very handy, and it will serve you well in the rest of your life as long as Google's still around. This is only in Google. There are, like, if you go to Bing, they have some things that are similar, but they're not as useful. I mean, Bing is like so small, it's not even worth bothering with. Google is the 800-pound gorilla in search, so I wouldn't even, we don't even use it at work. We force all of our employees to use it because we are a Microsoft shop, right? We use, the whole Microsoft O365, all this junk. But from a cybersecurity perspective, none of us use it. We all go straight to Google because that's where you're going to get your information. Alrighty, so let's look at another Google Dork that's pretty handy. All right. So this time, what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to do one called file type. Okay. So we want to look for, let's say, Nikon Z8. That's the camera I'm using to record this, right? And I need to get the manual for it. All right. So I'm going to put the double quotes around it. So we're looking for just that. So it's not going to look for everything with Nikon and everything with Z8. All right. And then we're going to do file type, colon, and you can do whatever file type you want. DOC for a Word doc, or a docx if it's the newer Word docs. We're going to do PDF, okay? So you don't have to put like .pdf or anything. It just knows that if you put PDF, you're looking for a, PDF, an Adobe portable document format. And then if we hit enter, okay, right off the bat, we start getting stuff, and these are all PDFs. Okay, and there's tons of them. Okay, well, let's be a little more specific, right? Let's do, I'm just trying to look at one so I can get the, narrow it down for us here. But you can actually use another Google Dork with this. So if we type in site, colon, I think it's bhphoto.com. Let's try that one. Okay, and then right there, top one, okay, B&H Photo, that's a company that sells cameras, right? It's a camera store, but they also put all the user manuals online. So we can now go get that, and if we go click on this, and it immediately brings up just that document. Okay, so how handy is that? So if you guys are doing research in college or for a high school class, you can actually use this to your benefit, right? Now, of course, here you'd have to download it before it's any useful for you because you're looking at this. It's kind of hard to look at it from a web page. All right, so that was file type, and we were able to like literally bounce right into a web, narrow that really down really quick, and then we were able to string those two together. All right, so here's a good one for us, hacking types. All right. So we're going to type in inurl, colon, okay? And I just want to find a login page, okay? Login. So if I was looking for a target, okay, boom. All right, there's that top one, login.gov. We didn't even specify, a site or anything. And then like right here, microsoftlive.com. If you hit it, you go to it, it should be a login page. See, it's got to sign in. Okay, so any page with login on it, or, and it's not just looking, remember, it's not looking at just this right here. It's also looking at the source for the page. So, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's not shown to you. A web page is rendered, okay? So it looks at a big, huge pile of HTML and then gives you something to look at. It interprets that for you. All right, so a lot of things here. These are all things with logins. So, and again, we could do, in addition to that, site colon .gov. If we were just wanting to see government sites. Okay, and then there's just government sites that come up. But what if we wanted to see just sites in China? How do you think we could do that? Instead of .gov, what's the country code for China? Anybody know? CN, of course, for China, right? Okay, so if we do cn.cn, and bada bing, bada boom, there we go. We've got just stuff in China now, okay? And you can do that for any country. So, pretty cool tool to have. Huh? Let's sit it and see what it is. It's probably just a typical login page for like their company portal or something. But we were just looking for things that had login in it. And there's your login page. So it's very specific what we're looking for. So if we were, say we were doing a pen test for a company, say we were doing it for, a pen test for Google, we would type in, inurl :login and then site :google.com. Okay, or google.com. You don't even have to put that dot there, and it's still going to look at all the subdomains. So that's how you would find login pages. And then you could, do your pen test and try to break into them with credentials you found, or, try to brute force it, or whatever you're going to do. So that's how, you would do that. All right. So let's go to another one here. Here's a good one, in text. Okay. So let's say you want to look for a document that has something specific in the body of the text. Okay. You don't remember, what you wanted to look for. You just know you want to look for text, and you want to look for, what did I put in here? Confidential document. Okay, so this is going to look at the text of all the websites in Google, which is a billion, right, or billions and billions. And it's just going to turn, we need to get rid of, it showed up with the AI up at the top. We don't want that. Cambridge Dictionary, confidential document. Papermark, confidential document, complete guide. And a lot of these right here are telling you about document classification. Okay, like this government one right down here, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Court, or federalcircuit.gov. If we click that one, let's see what it says. Looks like it's a classification page. And see, and that's what it's telling you. It's giving you, it found text on websites that mentioned confidential documents. And this is explaining their document classification or data classification scheme, which is important when you want to secure something. So again, another really good one to do. All righty. All right, here's another good one. There's only a few of these that you really have to worry about, so I'm not going to kill you with these. You're not going to get writer's cramp today. All right, so this one is all in URL. Okay, and for this one, we're going to look for admin settings. Okay, so what do you think this is going to look for? It's going to look for things in the URL. Okay, the URL up here at the top, right? Mac, it hides it. So let me see if I can get this to show. There you go. So that's the whole URL. Okay, so in that whole URL, okay, the first part, www.google.com, that's the URL. Okay, that's the domain piece of the URL. Everything behind the slash, going all the way to the end, is called a URI. Okay, that you'll need to know this as we get through the class. But all right, so let's click on. Just scroll down and pick one off. Say page 6. How about that? I was trying to find one that's an actual page that would be interesting. Let's hit page 10. Yeah, we'll hit this one. Okay, so this is talking about just basic administrative settings for this company's server. Okay, now what you could find is, if you narrow this down even more, you could find an admin settings page for, say, someone's home router. you know, that's sitting off Comporium. So that's why you would use something like that. And let's see what else we got here. We've also got all-in text, okay, which is very similar to the other one we were using. So all-in text. So this one, by the way it sounds, is looking for all the text in the document. And on this one, we're going to look for username and password. Okay, so let's see what we get. You're going to get like this first one here, Google, I forgot my username and password. You know, obviously that's something you're going to see. But if you scroll down and start digging through these, you're going to see things that, you know, are like a password page. Let's see.
So what's the difference between in-text and all-in-text?
In-text, and I don't know a good answer for this, but in-text, I'm thinking it's just looking for the text in the document, like the body of the document. Okay, like in HTML, it'd be like a /p for paragraph. It'd look for it in those. I think all-in-text, it's looking for the entire HTML stream from the beginning tag that says /HTML to the following one that's the /HTML, you know, everything inside the web page. So it might be a header, it might be in a JavaScript class or something like that. So, but when you do all in text, that's where you would find like a login page for something. And we're going to, when we get to Shodan, you're going to see why this is pretty primitive compared to Shodan. And, you know, this is still useful though, but you got to go through a lot of junk because all the top ranking websites are going to be in the first, you know, couple hundred pages. And you're just going to see like this stuff. And like, if we go to this one, Federal Student Aid, this is just giving you a way to reset your password, right? So it lets you add a username and a password. So you can see it's seeing username, and then you got to, you know, build the reset your password piece. So that's what it's seeing. It's seeing both of those fields. All right, let's see. I think there's maybe one more of these. Yeah, and then another useful tool with this. All right, so we did the all in text, but there's also a in title. Okay, so within title, when you show a web page, you get a title and it shows up at the very top of it, right? You guys are familiar with that? Like at the top, it'll say, you know, facebook.com or something. Well, you could actually use this in title tag to look for things that are misconfigured. And a good way to show that is to look for index.of. Okay. And if you have a misconfigured web server, it would, if you look for index.of in the URL, or sorry, in title, you're going to see things. Yeah, I'm not a robot. Can't do a caption. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay. All right. Let's see. Yeah, Reddit, you'll see it because right there, that's somebody discussing it, the in title dot or colon index dot of. Okay. And Reddit, someone saying, hey, how can I use this to do some evil stuff? Probably. So let's see. Oh, Heritage Foundation. That one looks like it might be misconfigured. Nope. All right, let's try another one. I'm going to show you what this would look like.
So what was this for again?
This is going to show you a misconfigured web server. Okay, this isn't done either. Man, last night the first one I hit was. Yeah. All right, let's just go and pick another page here. Ah, here we go. This is probably. Nope. Careful what you click on.
Yeah.
There we go. This one's a misconfigured one. Okay, instead of showing me a nice pretty web page, what has it showed me? It showed me an index of the /emergency folder on the web server, which is a bad thing because now I know every folder that's in there and I can just bounce through. Oh, look, config.xml. Oh, look at that. That's a config file for the XML on their web server. That can't help me at all, could it? You could use that against them. Okay, so that's why this is bad. And what's even worse is a lot of these, and we look for these at work all the time, is you'll crawl through and you want to find one that looks like it might have personal identifiable information, PII, or PHI, personal health information, or sensitive documents, usernames, passwords, network drawings, whatever. So this is how, this is part of your recon, is doing this stuff right here. So there's one other thing that I want to show, and that is, how do you narrow Google searches down by not, and say, I don't want to see this? Anybody know? Yes, the minus sign. How else would you do it, right? Plus would add things, minus would take it away. So let's say we want to do, we want to search for Kali Linux, but we don't want to see, let's see, what would be a good thing not to look for in Kali? Maybe, yeah, we don't want to see setup files. We don't want to see anything about setup. We just want to see Kali Linux. And there you go. So there should be nothing in there that has anything about setup. So, and this one's good because, like, a lot of times if you search on something, you're going to get a whole ton of responses, right? But you only want to see a certain type of response. You can tell it not to do that. So, all right, so that's the Google Dorks. Now then, let's talk about domain dossier. All right. The URL is centralops.net/co/domain dossier. You'll see it once I go to it up here. Quick way to do it is just go to your search bar in Google, domain dossier. Okay. And you'll see where it says about domain dossier. All you want to do is just go to this one right down here that says domain dossier and just click that link. And that'll get you to Central Ops. Okay. Now then, we can learn a lot about a domain name from here or an IP address. All right, so let me clear this out. Come on, there we go. All right, so let's type in shabinks.com. All right, and of course, good old AI decided that would be shaving.com. Shabinks. I don't want shaving. You have to do it like 5 times. I need to figure out how to turn this off. I don't want shaving. Stop, get rid of that. Shabinks.com. All right, so I've typed in the domain name, and then you see I got 3 boxes checked. Domain who is record, network who is record, and DNS search, okay? So if we look at shabinks.com, it goes out and it gets some stuff, and it tells me it's got 4 IP addresses. So obviously this is websites got some round robin type load balancing, right, to make it very performant. Then you got the who is record, and it tells you it's hosted by the shabinks.com is hosted by godaddy.com. You can figure that out in here. There's, of course, the abuse email and phone number for GoDaddy. So if that website's doing something bad, I can look at it and say, yeah, okay, I'm going to call their hoster and tell them and get them kicked off, or make them stop it, right? So that's what that's for. All right, and there's a lot more information. You can get the technical contact, the administrative contact, and then we get to the who is record. So this is what networks is it on. And you can see that it's got the network ranges. Remember we talked about CIDR addresses and network ranges and everything when we talk about the IP addresses. And it's being hosted on Squarespace, which I'm sure you guys have heard about from every YouTuber, right? All right. And then, of course, it's got Squarespace's abuse stuff. And then we go down to the DNS records, and you've got the host record, which is an A record, shabinks.com. Okay, and it's got the time to live, TTL. You'll hear that a lot. We're going to talk about that because there's times where you can get into a race condition and you can do something before the TTL and it can help you or hurt you. And then you've got the name servers that are all sitting on Squarespace's site doing the domain. All right, so now then, that was shabinks.com. What if we do www? That www is a C name, okay? The shabinks.com, that's the domain, and that would be an A record for that. And then we've got a C name, which is the www part or whatever else you're looking for. Now, if we look at this, it's going to be probably close to the same thing, and it is. It changed a little bit, but it's Squarespace. And then as you get down to the bottom, you notice a lot more happened on the DNS side, okay? So this is like showing us how the C name, you'll see the C name record right here at the top. See right there, C name, here's the A record. The A record is the actual host. The C name is basically a alias, like mail or FTP or www, whatever. So you can find all this information out right here. But there's other hosts behind shabinks.com. So let's do ou812.shabinks.com. Okay, any Van Halen fans? You guys are too young for Van Halen. All right, so if we hit this, notice what happened. Okay, we've got the name and look at the IP address. It's a different IP address, right? Let's go ahead and copy this IP because we're going to need it for the next thing I'm going to show you. All right, so we scroll down, it tells you, GoDaddy's hosting the DNS record. And then here's the who is for the network record, and this Linode. Okay, and it's telling you a lot of stuff in here. It's hard for you guys to see because it's kind of light, but you can see, I'll kind of read down it. It's the net name is US Linode, and then it's got a number behind it. The country is Great Britain. The organization, it gives you the organization, but it's got -RIPE at the end, okay? RIPE is Europe. ARIN, ARIN, is the US. APNIC, APNIC, is Asia. And then there's LACNIC, which is Latin America. And these are the organizations that maintain the registry of IPs, domains, and how all that interplays. And we'll get more into that as we go. All right, so, and then we got all the DNS records, and the DNS records are different because obviously now this host is in Europe somewhere. We don't know where, but it's in Europe. That's all we know. And the company that's maintaining it's in Great Britain. So, which makes sense. That's part of Europe, right? So now we're going to go to another tool. And we're going to go into hurricane.net, he.net. Okay? So he.net. he.net is these guys, they kind of took it upon themselves. It's an ISP and like a power company kind of thing. They created a thing called BGP Toolkit in the beginning, and it was very useful because once BGP routing, Border Gateway Protocol routing, would come into play, we could do a lot more with routing. It was much more advanced than just standard routing that we had at the time. So I'm going to search this IP address, and let's see what it tells us. Okay, and it says that there's an origin AS, okay, that's an autonomous system, okay, so the AS number, ASN, is AS63949, and it advertises this route right here, 194.233.168.0/21, which is a whole bunch of Class Cs, right? So that's a lot of IP addresses. So you can tell it's probably an ISP or something. And you look at the name up here, the reverse DNS name, Okay, this is the IP, and then this part right here in the parentheses is the reverse IP. Okay, every ISP is supposed to do that when they assign an IP or a host. So you can look at it, and it's like Linode user content. Linode is a company that allows you to do virtual machines in the cloud and stuff. All right, so that's telling us a whole lot. We can look at the who is, and of course, this right here pulls the exact same who is data that we saw from domain dossier. All right, if we look at the DNS on it, it just gives you that little piece we've already seen, but we can do a trace route. Okay, and it's going to trace route through all these systems from their systems. Okay, and sometimes you can look through this and you can see what's going on, but this is not giving us the best.
What does the error probe thing mean?
Okay, the one in red there where it says no probes found. A lot of networks will take and put a Hurricane Electric probe on their network, which allows them to get even more data. And if it doesn't find one of those, then that just means that there's not one there. So it's not that big a deal. And this is just listing all the probes. And we did a trace route. So let's see. It should have done it right off the bat, but we may have to put it in here. Perform query. It's not giving it to us. All right, so we can go back to domain dossier and do a trace route from there, though. Okay, and what I wanted to show you is just that this is going to show you from two different perspectives, so they won't match up. But if we go back to domain dossier, all right, and we do a trace route. We click this box right here, and we hit go. Gotta hurry up. We only got a few minutes here. If we scroll down to the bottom, DNS records, and now you got trace route down at the bottom. And it's going and it's showing you from domain dossier's cloud location, wherever they're at in the world, is trace routing from there to my server, to the OU812 server, okay? And you can see what it's going through here. And, you know, you can kind of get an idea of what's happening here. I'm seeing Dallas 13. So this one right here, that's probably in Dallas. This is no idea. This is another one in Dallas. This one, now it's going to Chicago. Now it's going to London. Now it's in France somewhere. And then now it's in DE is Germany. So FRA would be Frankfurt. That's the country codes. Yeah. We're going to go over that right now. So if you type in CCTLD list, TLD, country code top level domains, and hit enter. Okay, you got a whole bunch of like TLD searches and all that, but just go to the Wikipedia is the easiest one. Okay, and this is going to give you all the CCTLDs. Like, I mean, what do you think CX is? This is a good one. You guys should know this. You're all kids. Christmas Island. But if you go through here, you see, you know, like right here, AC is the Ascension Islands. Okay. .AD is Andorra. AE is United Arab Immigrants. AF is Afghanistan, but you can go right through here, and it lists all the CCTLDs. Azerbaijan.az, right? So you got all that data. So now you'll know. All right, so now let's get into Shodan. All right. Shodan you're going to like. You have to get an account, though. They have free accounts. I mean, you can just search it like without logging in, but if you want to get a little bit more, you'll need to log in. Okay. All right, here's Shodan. What Shodan does is it's got a bank of servers sitting in the cloud in different places on the world, and it constantly scans all IP space, and it collects information about every IP on the network, okay? So like You can, my work, okay, if you type in one of the IP addresses for my workplace, it will show you everything, if it's facing the internet, everything it knows about it. Like it's going to tell you what ports are open. Like, is it hosting a web page on port 443? Is it a mail server? Is it an FTP server? It's going to tell you all that stuff. And it's also going to try to connect to each one of those. And then it's going to grab the banner that's displayed. And but based on the banner and other things, other telemetry it gets back, it's doing during that transaction, it's going to determine what kind of operating system it is. What type of web server is it? Is it Apache? Is it IIS? Is it NGINX? It's going to look for that and it's going to give you information. And it's going to collect all this. Then it's going to take that IP and it's going to go through geo IP location and determine what the location is of that IP. It's going to do all this stuff and it puts it in this massive database that we're allowed to search. So if I was a bad guy and I wanted to find a machine that was vulnerable to the VMware NSX vulnerability that was just released this past week, I could actually go to Shodan and say, show me every machine in the world that has one of these facing the internet and is vulnerable. So that gives me targets, you know, or if I was pen testing a company, like say we're pen testing Microsoft, we would just say, show me all that are vulnerable on Microsoft.com. Okay. And that gives us a starting point. It gives us targets. So when you're up here, we can do simple things like, let's see. We can look for stuff in Rock Hill. Why not, right? So city, notice you're seeing how we're searching and how the Google Dorks versus this, how it kind of works with the, you know, you've got the identifier, and what you're looking for, right? Let's look for Rock Hill. Do you think there's any computers in Rock Hill that Shodan would know about? I mean, little Rock Hill, no one knows about Rock Hill. Shodan sure does. It knows everything about Rock Hill.
8,417.
Yep. 8,417 IP addresses are facing the internet and it knows about them. Okay. So let's look at this first one here. Okay. It is. It's Comporium. That's exactly what it is. Comporium.net. And you can see right here, Rock Hill SC static IP addresses for Comporium. Okay. Static would mean like a business. They would get an IP assigned to them so you can connect to it all the time. Whereas for your home user, your consumer users, you get a dynamic IP. So it changes every time your router reboots or the DHCP lease is renewed.
Does this have like household IP addresses?
Oh, yes.
Oh, we're done for.
So it's telling you, okay, this has got a redirect on it on HTTP. Okay, so it used to be hosting a web server. And now when you go to that, you get a 301 redirect because the web page is being hosted somewhere else. But it tells you everything that it did. And this was done on 2nd of October. So this was just done this morning, that scan. So pretty cool, huh? Yeah. Well, now let's just see. What about, is there anything in Rock Hill that has port 80 open, which is an unencrypted web page? Let's see if we get anything. Oh, why? Yes, there are. There's 387 of them. Okay. So pretty cool, huh? And then you can also like, let's do this one real quick because this is one y'all can have fun with. Product, HP. Let's look for printers that are on the internet.
Can you print some
Why, yes, you can. Okay, here, these are printers.
China.
Yeah. Well, see, we could narrow this down to just Rock Hill. City, Rock Hill.
Wow, we only have 12,000 on China.
You got 3 of them. 3 in Rock Hill, okay?
Wait, you should do York.
Do York?
No, not New York. Just
York. Okay, let's see.
Wait, these are printers?
Yeah,
Sending out.
York.
Can you print on them right now?
If they're open, okay, and if they didn't, if they got a printer sitting on the internet, they're probably open because they've done a lot bad, right? But you could literally send there's 903 printers in cities called York. That meant York, Pennsylvania, York, California, York, South Carolina. So we could put state behind there and just say South Carolina. But so technically, yes, you could print something to these. And quick story before y'all get cut out of here. I built a computer for a guy, and then I got deployed, and I come back a year later. Okay, a year, kind of important. And he goes, man, my printer has never been working. It says that it prints, but I never get anything. And I'm talking to him, and I go look at it, look at his computer, and I'm like, you're sending it somewhere else. He was sending all his print jobs to his neighbor for a year. And the neighbor never figured it out.
Like crossing, like, man, my printer keeps
Yep.
printing random stuff.
Yeah.
That would freak me out.
All right, so we got a break next week, and when we come back, we'll have a test on the stuff we've covered up to this. So just, the websites, and things that we've gone over, and like the notes and stuff you've taken today. And it'll be open book, so the test, there's so much information, I don't expect y'all to remember this stuff. So it'll be open book. Yeah. Open anything, open internet, whatever. Y'all can ask AI, I don't care. But don't tell any of your other teachers.
Is it in class or?
No, it's going to be online. Yeah.